Hi world, my name is Laura Duksta and I am the author of this now New York Times bestseller, I Love You More, and I wanted to share its message with you, especially around this Mother's Day, because it is a message of love shared between a mother and child, and it is written for everyone who has a mother, but especially for everyone who is a mother. It's a perfect time for this conversation of love. Before I get started, I want to share two things. One, get your question answered about why I have no hair, so that you can listen to the story. I lost my hair when I was 11 years old to a condition called alopecia areata. Besides having no hair, I'm perfectly healthy, but for 19 long years I wore wigs and would never let anyone see me without a wig on, and I was absolutely miserable, and if you can believe it, very introverted and shy. But after I had the idea for this book, I all of a sudden decided, kind of out of nowhere, that I was going to become the bald chick, and I set myself and my wigs free, had my coming out party as the bald chick at Life in New York City, and really began to embrace that simple, though not always easy lesson of just be yourself and love yourself and let others love you. I really do believe that that's what we're all here for, and it's a lesson that we learn in kindergarten, but sometimes it takes us our lifetime to really learn to embrace. I again feel very blessed that I get to go in and do school programs all over the country and world, and that's the first lesson that I share about with the children. Now, how my book came to be is that it was an answer to a prayer. After I graduated from college, I found myself bartending for many years in Miami South Beach, really unsure of what I was going to do with the rest of my life. But one night I found myself praying for my sister. She was a younger mother than she expected to be, and she was now pregnant with her second child and married, but she was having problems with her husband, and I was away. And I found myself at the end of the night saying, Dear God, please watch over my sister. And I was thinking, oh, that's kind of strange, I don't really pray like this anymore. But something clearly answered me and said, your sister's fine, pray for your nephew. So I acknowledged that was even stranger, that I just heard this very clear voice, but I did as I was told, and I began praying for my nephew. And as I did, the whole idea for this book just flooded my being. It was definitely the experience of divine inspiration, like the sense of like white light and energy. And I was in a hotel room at the time, and I got up and picked up a piece of paper and started writing all the ideas down. And a friend of mine woke up and said, what are you doing? I said, I'm writing a children's book. So that's how I Love You More came to be. It was really a message of love written for my sister and my nephew. But I absolutely do believe that it's a message of love written for, like I said, everyone that has a mother, but especially everyone who is a mother. After we had self-published it, I was driving along and I was listening to a tape of a minister who I love. Some of you might know him, Michael Beckwith, from The Secret and Oprah. And tears started pouring down my eyes, and they were tears that weren't mine. And I had to pull over the side of the road, and I heard that voice again, and it said, the message of your book is really between creator and child, but the message or the relationship that most people would understand is that between mother and child. And in a sense, we are co-creators in that, and especially mothers and fathers have that experience of creating and helping to bring a life into the world. So I ask you all to listen to this message and take it into your hearts, and whether it resonates with you because you're a mother or you're a child of this universe, know that this message is written especially for you. One thing before we get started is that our book is a flip-sided book. It begins from both sides and reads to the middle, or like love, it never ends, and it represents the two sides to love, the giving and receiving. So, how about a Mother's Day story? I Love You More, written by Laura Duksta and illustrated by Karen Kiesler. Karen celebrating her very first Mother's Day this week, actually. She just had Lola Jane last Monday, April 28th. We welcomed her into the world, and we go by the nickname Hippie and the Bald Chick. And she got that nickname because of her love for the planet and her love for people, but also because she drew these pictures, which you'll see in a minute, with a bag of pastel chalks she had gotten at a yard sale for 50 cents. So she said, I might not be a famous artist, but I know what love looks like to a 5-year-old. And I really do believe she captured that essence in her drawings. So let's get started. I Love You More, written by Laura Duksta and illustrated by Karen Kiesler. Going to have the birds chiming in as well. Walking outdoors one day, a little boy turned to his mother and asked, "Mummy, just how much do you love me?" Surprised at the question, but with no delay, she replied with a smile, "I love you higher than the highest bird ever flew. I love you taller than the tallest tree ever grew. I love you longer than the longest path ever wound. I love you prettier than the prettiest flower ever found. I love you deeper than the deepest fish ever swam. I love you stronger than the strongest big river dam. I love you mightier than the mightiest wind ever blew. I love you fuller than the fullest moon you ever knew. I love you brighter than the brightest star ever shone. I love you more, so much more than you've ever known." Then she wrapped her arms around him with all the love that she had, and he felt it all surround him when he gently whispered, "Know what, Mommy? I love you more. I love you more than anything in the whole wide world." And that's where you close our book and flip it over, and now it begins from the other side. I love you more. Walking along a path one day, a mother turned to her son and asked, "So, just how much do you love me?" Ready for the question, the little boy took her hand and began, "I love you quieter than the quietest caterpillar ever creeped. I love you further than the furthest frog ever leaped. I love you bigger than the biggest bubble ever blown. I love you freer than the freest kite ever flown. I love you higher than the highest swing ever swung. I love you sweeter than the sweetest song ever sung. I love you longer than the longest lollipop ever lasted. I love you louder than the loudest rocket ship ever blasted. I love you taller than the tallest giraffe ever grown. I love you more, so much more than you've ever known." Then he wrapped his arms around her with all the love that he had, and she felt it all surround her when she gently whispered, "Know what, son? I love you more. I love you more than anything in the whole wide world." It just keeps going and going and going, just like love. So I want to say a special thank you to my mom. She was a kindergarten teacher for 38 and a half years, and when I decided to go from being a bartender to a children's author, she was more than excited and more than willing to help, and she really financed the project to start and helped us get the message out there in the world. Sold 180,000 copies self-published, which is in big part due to her help and our friend Dawn Earl and all our friends and family. And then last November, we sold our book to, or last year we sold our book to Source Books, who we absolutely love. And I believe that they love our book as much, if not more than we do, which is really spectacular to have in a publisher. And they helped get us into all the bookstores across the country, a lot of gift shops that we weren't already in, and of course we're available on Amazon and all your online shops, barnesandnobles.com. And they helped us to hit the New York Times bestsellers list. We hit number 10 and then number 7 right around Valentine's Day. So we would love your help. Share this book with your mom. Let her know how truly loved and appreciated she is, and help drive us to the top. And it's not about being at the top of the New York Times bestsellers list. It's about having our book and its message of love in as many hands and hearts and homes and classrooms as possible. We absolutely believe that when people know they're loved, especially our children, anything is possible. Have a bright and blessed lifetime. I love you more.